Magic partner Penny Wiggins. Next to your partner, what other magician have you fantasized about stabbing you deeply, if you know what I mean?
Well, I have always had a crush on David Copperfield.
Thank you. Next, magic partner Carol Maccri-Gossamer. Have you ever messed up a trick and after the show told your partner the stage tech did it? Go.
Yes.
Magic partner Jinger Kalin. True or false? At some point in your life, you thought about bumping off your partner to become a superstar solo act. Go.
No.
You're a liar. These questions and many more will be forced upon my guest panelists when they receive my late night magic touch. I'm Michael Paul. Welcome back to episode 2. I am not a magician and I am barely a fan, so why am I here? It is certainly not to take myself seriously or anyone else on this illustrious world-class panel. They are. The other half of Mark Kalin, she has earned fans and praise for being an integral female force in modern magic, gracing the stage of iconic spectaculars, including Spellbound, Masters of Illusions, and Carnivals of Wonders. She is Jinger Leigh. Otherwise known as the Quaalude-ridden ditzy blonde psychic Sandra, she's a genius in verbal and physical comedy as the foil to the infamous bad boy himself, the amazing Jonathan on Premium Blend, The Tonight Show, and she is credited as a stand-up in her own right. She is Penny Wiggins. A dancer, singer, a magical partner. She has been attached to show business brands that include Legends in Concert and working alongside Peter Gossamer. They headline Las Vegas, Branson, Myrtle Beach, Atlantic City, and seen on World's Greatest Magic. She is Carol Maccri-Gossamer. Welcome, panel, and welcome to everyone at home. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Late Night Magic Touch. I'm really excited. A lot has been going on this past week, and to show everyone that entertainers are not egocentric and we know more than what is just going on in our own world of act and show business, let's talk about that. We are now in week 5 of this horrible pandemic. Variety Act live streaming has now risen to over 600,000 cases, so be careful. In other news, the governor of New Jersey has eased the quarantine restrictions for their state. Residents are now allowed 10 minutes a day to go outside, shoot a big fuck you to New York, and then go back inside. In magic news, the CW is broadcasting yet another Masters of Illusions. I believe this is Masters of Illusions 107, Children's Parties. The producers are in talks of a new host. Allegedly, they are digging up the corpse of John Ritter, whose career is only slightly less active than that of current host Dean Cain. And now I have promised a couple of inside jokes for our magic panel and our magicians at home. This is kind of a little inside thing just for you. The International Brotherhood of Magicians announced Monday that over the Easter weekend, it saw its shadow. We'll have 6 more weeks of Harrison Greenbaum. Okay, decide if that's good or bad. I am told it's good. I don't know who that is. WrestleMania 36 happened to an empty arena. I don't know why that's a big deal. It's no different than performing at the Tommy Wynn Theater. And our good friend Jeff Peterson, the magician stranded for 5 weeks on the Diamond Princess cruise ship, announced today that he is returning to the ship. Apparently spending all that time at sea without guests has renewed his love of cruising. I am kidding. That's a joke. Of course, he hates cruising. For the panel that we have here tonight, I was saying to Jinger before the show that I did look for male partners as well, and I couldn't find any or any that were available. I am not a magician, for anyone who doesn't know me or hasn't watched the program last week, but I have been around magicians since I was about 15 or 16. I will say that I am kind of the worst magic audience member at all. When there's no showmanship, I'm like, hey, where's the showmanship? And then when there's a lot of showmanship, I'm like, just get to the trick. You know what I mean? It's a little cage with a curtain and they spin it around and there's a dog, or there's a big cage, you spin it around, it's a lion. If we have time, I will tell you my very secretive story about the time a magician's lion peed on the audience. It's a good story. I would like to remind the people at home that you'll be able to call in, not only to talk to myself, but our panelists about something they've talked about or questions you've had as an audience member. So that'll be happening later in the show. There is a link to do that, and it'll be an audio link, not video, through Skype, and we look forward to talking to you. Panelists, thank you for joining me again. Our first game of the evening is called What's Next? Okay, there we go. I guess that video worked. Now, what's next is actually, I'm told, a magic term. Originally, I wanted to call this What Happens Next, where we're going to show photos of our panelists from the beginnings of their career. And then we're going to guess what happened next after that photo pose or after that picture was taken. But the play on words in the magic world, what's next, is referring to a trick. Jinger, can you tell us it? Do you know what that is, that reference?
I do. I only peripherally, yes. It's a trick with the cards and the dice, and they say what's next. I don't know.
Okay, very succinct. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yes, you're correct. Okay, so let's take a look just for fun at slide number 1. Yes, look at that. This is from Carol. We've spaced her out right there. Okay, Jinger, what happened next in this picture?
All right, I'm gonna pin this up a little bit so I can
Yes.
get a little closer. Oh, okay. So first of all, I have a feeling this picture was taken in Atlantic City because I recognize some of the players here.
Yes, it was Lacage, I think, wasn't it?
Well, actually, my guess of what happened next or what's next is they break out into some sort of what's the name?
Conga?
Some kind of some like it hot or
Yes, girl.
like a heat medley of some sort,
Yes.
like Calypso, feeling hot, that
Well,
kind of thing.
They absolutely
All the
should.
things.
They're not wearing any clothes. And Penny, what happened next in this photo?
Well, it looks like she, after the photo's taken, she turned around behind her to the guy and said, "Were you looking at my nipple because it was out?"
Yes,
That's
that's
not
right.
okay.
I
That
would
is
agree.
a true story. That actually happened in that show
I'm
That
like,
probably happened. Yes.
by
I be-
accident.
I believe what happened next is that thing on Carol's head attacked the kid to her right. He screamed like a girl, and then the two of them dated for 3 months. Carol, what is that picture actually from?
That is from a show I did called Island Fever, which was in Mesquite, Nevada, and also played in Atlantic City for a while. And yeah, that's
Nice.
the one. We had gauchos in that show, and Carol Hughes, famous. She was on AGT as well as a comedian. She was in that show as well. And yes, lots of Latin salsa and
Yes.
naked. And the funny story behind that picture is I did actually do the dress run, and a little, you know what, was sticking out of my bra there, and everybody's
midget?
pointing at me, and I'm like, yeah, they're pointing at me because they think I'm good, and I'm like, no, they're not. I'm naked. So there it is.
Yeah, well, I will say it just goes to show casino review shows you can't go wrong with the gaucho. Of course you can. Slide number 2. Yes.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Penny, what happened next after this photo?
she said, "The last one, my left nipple was out. This one, my right nipple's out. And I don't appreciate you guys staring."
Yes, Jinger, what happened next?
I'm looking. Wait, I gotta pin it. I gotta look at it closer.
Ay, ay, ay.
Ah, all right. What happened next? I don't know. I think that's what Peter Gossamer is always asking, or what's next?
Yes, I would agree. I believe what happened next was National Geographic names her the first plant crossbreed, half ficus, half chandelier. Slide number, let's go to the next slide, please. Yes, yes, Carol. What, this is, of course, Penny as her character. And what is she, I see what she's doing there. Carol, what happened next?
Is she looking at her finger?
She is looking at her finger.
Well, she's looking at her finger like, what the hell is on my finger right now? Like, what is that? What is that? Is that something from Blue Man Group? What is that?
I would agree. Ginger, what happened next?
I think she's reprimanding Jonathan and telling him to stay 6 feet away.
Yes, I would agree. I believe it could be one of two things, Penny. Either you realize the circumference of your nostril is the same size as the tip of your index finger, then you tested it, or you were sad and regretful of not completing your proctology license. But my question to you is, what did happen next?
Well, this is a joke, an old joke, like feel my finger, ow, I think my fingers, feel this, ow, ow. And then it turns out Jonathan says, your finger's broken. Oh, so I'm going,
Nice.
oh.
Great. Let's go to the next picture, please. Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
All right, Ginger, what happened next?
Oh my God, she got a call back for Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, Carol, what happened next?
That's a glamour shot right there. That's got to be a glamour shot. And the next step was Miss Nevada.
I would agree, although I think the next step was she got a job as a beat reporter for Eyewitness News, Sioux City, South Dakota. Let's look at the next photo, please. Hello.
Ooh.
Yes, Carol, how about it? What happened next?
That is clearly don't touch my ball.
I would agree. Yes,
Touch
Penny,
my
what
ball.
happened next?
I think she said, Mark, my ball's bigger than yours.
I would agree. I also think possibly one of the showgirls' silicone boobs fell out. Next one, please.
Oh my God, where did you get these pictures?
It's the internet is not your friend, Ginger. Yes, Penny, what happened next?
I think she turned to Mark and she said, I'm never taking this off now, bow.
Wow.
Carol.
I'm scared to ask what happens next. I think we all
I'll
can guess
I'll
on our
help
own.
you. I'm with you. I would say one of two guesses. Either next, Mark suggested she have more fiber in her diet, or she wondered how she could go on making Mark feel more secure, even though he was shorter than she. That's why she was crouching. Thank you, panelists, for playing What's Next. And now I believe it is time for a magic moment. You get bored backstage, and I like to play that game, closeted homosexual magician or closeted egomaniac magician. Yeah. Actually, they're all egomaniacs, so it's a trick question. That was great. I love that rabbit. So I want to talk about how I know everybody. This is a great pleasure for me because this is my 30th year in show business, and I've gotten to meet some wonderful people. People don't understand that there's like celebrities, and then there's like the non-household names that have really made wonderful careers and really been respected. And the three of you are really that. Ginger, I mentioned before, Ginger, you and I have all the same friends. I've hung out with your husband at a bar, but you and I never get a chance to really know each other after all these years. But I remember when I was moving from being a stage technician to being an act, I saw you at Merv Griffin's Resorts in Atlantic City. It was the late 80s, early 90s. You did a show. Was it a Roger Manami show? I forget what it was called.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you because it wasn't me.
Oh,
You're thinking of somebody that was with Mark prior, because Mark and I got together in 1991.
well, as far as I'm concerned, there was no one prior to you, so screw that chick, and I don't care. Either way, I'm happy we had this time. So you came in. What was your first job with Mark?
Guam.
Guam. I was offered Guam, and they said, you really should come to Guam. We have a great healthcare. I'm like, of course you do. It's a hurricane every 3 weeks. But I do know, and Carol and I met. We were doing a review show. She was with a different magician. You ladies are just absolute tramps with your magicians. And but Carol and I, we were doing a review show during the summer at one of the casinos. I was one of the acts, and she was with the other. And in the bows, when you do these shows, everyone gets their last name except for the dancers and the assistants and the partners and everything. So it would be, she was with a guy named, can I mention it, Carol? Do you mind?
Sure.
So she was with, they'd say, please, Joe Holiday and Carol. And after 4 months, I realized, and we were friends, we really bonded backstage and had a great time. She could really hang with the boys, and she was very feminine and lovely as well, and played, but I didn't know her last name. It was just Ann Carol. And so for months, I called her Ann Carol, like her first name was Ann. And then, unfortunately, that stuck for about 3 years, and she hated my guts because everyone in the business
3 years.
called her
It's
Ann.
been 40 years. It's been 40 years you've been calling me Ann Carol.
I know,
Don't lie.
but it caught on. It caught on. Unfortunately, it took a while for you to shake it off. And of course, Penny and I, we've never met, but also at resorts, Jonathan did a show called Red Hot and Rowdy, and I did my first gig there as a young act. I was in the opening slot of the review show, and he was at the end. He was crazy. He was so nice. I was a little too shy to talk to him, but one night I was only there for a couple of days filling in. He stood in the wings, and he gave me a pat on the back, and it was really, really nice. So I've been following you guys ever since. And what I really want to talk about tonight is, now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to know what kind of personality it really takes, the technical, promotional, and emotional ego of a partnership like this. How do you deal with your own and the partners? Traditionally, there's the magician and then the partner, but nowadays, a lot of you say, well, I am the magician too. We are equal. It's the world has changed quite a bit, but I think as the partner, because you're also the technician, you're rolling things in, you're supporting the other person. What does it take for you to deal with another personality technically and on the billboards, and how do you navigate that and egos? Carol, can you speak to that a little?
Honestly, I never felt that way with Peter. Like, I never felt like he had a big ego. He never did. He really didn't. Peter is like one of the most, and Ginger knows Peter very well, and he's just one of these chill guys. Magic was always a vessel to him, and we always had a great time. I think my greatest fondest memory is, working on ships and working in all these places. They would always say Peter Gossamer and his assistant, the magic. And my name was never really out there. Not like I think Penny was with Amazing Jonathan, or as Ginger is with Mark. Like I was way more in the background. But my favorite moment was when we worked on Disney and the car came to pick us up and it said Peter and Carol Maccri. And I was like, I win this day, I win.
Now, Ginger, by your own admission, you came in after Mark's act had already been going. And so how do you step into someone's art and then support it and then join it and then eventually participate in it? How does that work out?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of our history you know, but when I first joined Mark, it went from an act to he was an established illusionist, but I just never thought that it would be the same once I joined. Meaning, I always thought that I had something to contribute, and then from our collective or our collaboration, we began a whole new journey forward of that. It wasn't like I was trying to hop on and ride, on the coattails of what he had. It was more like, what can we do together? What can we build together?
And Penny, everyone knows the Amazing Jonathan. I mean, he really crossed borders from legitimate comedy and magic, and big personality. Everyone knows, he's been very open about his life personally and professionally. And you don't play yourself; you play an actual character, which certainly takes a different kind of acting chops. And what is that like for you? What was that like in the highest points of the work?
Oh, well, it was fantastic, actually, because I thought as the character. So everything I did was as the character. And even Jonathan and I, when we had gotten to a fight, which was not very often, it was for the Blue Man Group bit. I don't know if you guys know that bit, but he adamantly insisted, because I got stapled in the eye, so I was out of work for 3 weeks. And so then he insisted that I do this Blue Man Group bit that someone else had written. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. He goes, it's not you. It's your character saying the words. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And that's the only time we've ever, but I did it, of course. And I committed 100% because it was really enjoyable. It was fantastic for me. It was great because it got my mind. He's very giving. He's like, do whatever you want. I don't care. As long as you sort of stay in the script.
I will say, if I was your insurance provider, I would have dropped you at that point. The other thing I want to talk about before we get on to our next bit of business is that now this is I hesitate, my palms sweat to use this term because it was an old style term. But back in the day, everyone called the partner the lovely assistant. Now, I know for me, while I understand the equality of the partner, for me, I say it as a person that's been in show business for a while. It's a term of endearment. It is, but for a lot of people, it's like, forgive me, using, one of those vocabulary words in our society that we can't use anymore. So, and again, Ginger, can you speak to that at all, as far as the term and what the public?
I think it's just a term. You can call yourself, whatever you want, whether it's an assistant or a partner in a duo or an illusionist. It's just one of those things. I've never really, I don't like the term the assistant because I think there's too many degrees, and I think people are at a lack of knowledge. To me, an assistant is something that we have that help us in our act, like our technical assistants and people like that. But I don't consider myself an assistant because I'm doing as much as he is. I call myself an illusionist because I've spent many 28 years developing magic and creating magic. And
well, that's exactly right. In the creation of your act, you are doing your own pieces.
Right.
They have billed you as an equal partner, and to me, that terminology, it's also kind of like old-timey and lovely, but not completely accurate.
I just think it's limiting. I think it's a limiting term. That's all.
So when someone sees your show and go, Mark, you were terrific, and your lovely assistant was amazing, do you want to claw their eyes out? Tell the truth.
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way too much.
Because you don't do meet and greets anymore, and I don't blame you. I'm guessing.
No,
I don't know.
actually, you know what's really funny? I have to tell this story because Mark tells this story all the time. He says that when we were first starting, we had just finished Guam and we'd moved to Atlantic City, and he was walking alone through the casino, and he had seen a little boy tugging at his mom's thing, pointing at him, and he goes, "Look, Mom, there's Ginger's magician."
Yes.
They didn't know his name, but they knew mine.
I love that. Well, there is something branding wise that really works about a single name. Now, Penny, you play the lovely assistant.
I do.
But you get the best of both worlds because you're playing a character. So that really gives you a lot to play with. Now, and does that help you in the comedy world or does it hurt you?
I don't know. Everyone was like, I don't, but honestly, I like the term sidekick because that's how I would utterly describe what I was doing, even though I was a fake assistant because I got everything wrong and did everything like slapstick. So I would say that I was like the wacky sidekick more than I was.
Yes. Now, just so everyone knows, just to push the envelope and piss everybody off, to all the chauvinists out there, we also have come up with, if you don't like Lovely Assistant, 4 other possible names that we could utilize. Let's see that. A, the one with the gut.
Without
B,
the gut.
The unpaid family member.
Mm-hmm.
C, the partner with less makeup. Or D, my personal favorite, the help, which I'm going to pay for, I know. Okay, so just a little tease, I'm going to pay for that. Now, I'd like to remind everyone at home that we're going to be taking your calls, but before that, we're going to do a little segment called, when was the first or last time you were magically touched? I can tell you the first time, and take that in however you like to take it. The first time, Carol, you're so fucking guilty. It's unbelievable. Just rocking back and forth. Ginger, you seem nice, but I know that you're not. Okay, so I'm teasing, of course. And Penny, you're dirty. Now, the first time I was magically touched, after my bar mitzvah, I got a gift card to go to a magic shop, and I bought the Hippity Hop Rabbit. You can look that up to know what that is. The last time I was magically touched was about a month ago in aisle 37 at Home Depot by a hot daddy. So now I go to Penny. Penny, can you tell us when was the first and last time you were magically touched, please?
Well, many times throughout my career, but anyway, when I was a clown for kids' birthday parties, I did a little magic show, and when I did coloring book, I had to learn how to do it. And to me, while I was doing it, I was like, oh, "Wow, this is really happening! Wow!" I'd say the magic coloring book was my first magical touching.
And the last? Tell the truth.
Last was when I got kicked off stage for doing magic. No,
oh my God!
Are you? Does someone live with you? What is your situation?
I live with my sister because my house is Airbnb'd. So I live with my sister and my roommate. And so
any pets?
And we have 4 dogs and like 7 cats.
Well, I'm sure you can work out a magic touch in any which way with that.
Right.
All right, Ginger, next, please. When was the first and last time you were magically touched?
First time I was magically touched must have been being on stage with Mark for the first time. You know, I think there was an instant chemistry there, and obviously, you know, it's going to be very cliche and very boring and very sappy, but you know, when we would look into each other's eyes, you know, on stage, that was probably my first magical touching. Last magical touching was actually a year before last, in 2018, we went to FISM. Have you ever been to FISM or?
No, can you tell our public what that is?
So FISM is kind of like the Olympics of magic. Every 3 years, people from around the world gather and they compete in various categories. And basically, it's like it's like a magic convention, but also like a competition. World's best close-up acts and different genres and different performing categories. Anyway, they hold it in different places in every 3 years. And this one was held in Busan, Korea. And on each night they do a gala night. And one night they did a Korea night or an Asian magician night. And it was so moving. They were the performers were so creative and so artistic, and I cried after the show because it made me so proud to be in this industry, and I hadn't felt that way in a really long time.
I love hearing that. Carol, please, the first and last time.
I'm not just saying that because she's here, but one of the first times I was magically touched was when I saw Jinger on stage in Before Your Very Eyes. And also when she did the one move, it was like the when you guys finished the number from Sunlight Get Hot and you blew out that fire. It's just like embraced in my brain for life, like really one of the greatest moments. And then the last time I was magically touched was 2 nights ago. We won't talk about it. Okay?
Congratulations. I'm so glad you've been married. You've been married for a while, so I'm happy to hear that. Thank you very much, panel. And now it is time for another magic moment. I worked with this one fucking magician who wanted to be so unique that he didn't want to do the rabbit and the magic hat. And he tried to stuff me into a visor. I'm like, hello, my ass is hanging out. Thank you very much, Rabbit. We are back, and we're going to finish, as we did last week, with a little game that we like to call Shackle, Portal, Saw. This is kind of like Screw, Marry, Kill, if you know that college game, although we are attaching it to magic names. So Shackle, Penny, can you tell us what Shackle is for our public at home? What trick that is?
I'm gonna guess because I was a dumb magic assistant in real life too, and I'm gonna guess that it's when you take the handcuffs and then you handcuff.
I would believe so. I would mention you're getting a typecast. You should get a new agent. And the next one, of course, is Portal. I am told that it's actually called Portal to Hawaii. Carol, do you know what that is?
It's like a magic portal where you hop from one place to the next.
Right. So allegedly, what I'm told is I believe Copperfield did the trick where he said, I want to be with this lovely woman in Hawaii, and he portaled himself to Hawaii. And then, of course, Saw in Half, Ginger. I'm not going to.
You know it too well.
Yeah.
I know it too well.
So Shackle is screw, Portal is marry, Saw is kill. Let's look at our candidates, please. There you go. Look at those handsome guys. Ginger, Shackle, Portal, Saw. Go.
Shackle.
No, you got to tell me who gets what.
Oh, Mark gets the shackle.
Uh-huh.
But I love Peter. Jonathan definitely gets the Saw, and Peter will get the Portal.
Great. Carol, go.
I'm shackled, portaled, and sawed in half with Peter. 100%.
Oh, that's a daring. Penny, how about you?
Well, let's just say I'm going to be in trouble if I say shackle any of these people or Portal. So I'm just going to say, as Carol, I'm going to shackle, Portal, and saw in half Jonathan.
All right. Thank you. You're all apparently from Switzerland, but we will accept that answer. I'd like to tell our people at home that next week our subject is going to be the magicians that perform for kids. Why would you do that? I have no idea. To close out the show for our Magic Touch, Magic Partners, I am thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Ginger, what is that number?
54.
Penny, what is that number?
77.
Carol, what is that number?
99.
The answer, Penny, is correct. Penny, you have won, and because you have won, you need to sing one sentence of a song with the word magic in it. Go.
Whoa, 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 it's magic.
Yes.
You know.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, panel. Thank you for everyone at home. The wand is broken. The rabbit is dead. Good night, everybody.